Oh, it didn't show up right. Perfect. No, we like to start things out just spectacularly with no hiccups or any problems at all. Welcome to Adam Does Movies Live. It's Tuesday. I just got done doing a TikTok live stream. It was very scary. I'm a middle-aged man trying to make it in the topsy-turvy world that is TikTok. Lindsay, my wife, if you didn't know, she goes, Adam, you got to get on TikTok. You got to do a live stream. You just have to. It's the wave of the future. And I said, listen, Lindsay, I think I know a thing or two about what kids are into, no cap. And then she rolled her eyes and said, divorce is on the table. So I did a live stream. It went okay, I think. I think it went all right. So if you want to, feel free to follow me or do whatever you have to do to become a member on TikTok at Adam Does Movies. It's really popping off over there. It's all really happening. But this is the place I like to live. This is my favorite. This is my home. This is where I've been growing. This is where I've been talking to you guys. And today I have a friend coming on the show, Robbie Tann. He's an actor. You may know him from a movie that came out a year or maybe 13 years ago at this point, because the world has no time anymore. It just exists, called The Creator. We're going to bring him on in just a second. But if you didn't know, I put out a lot of content this week. We have a movie roast for a Patreon at patreon.com/AdamDoesMovies. He got a roast on Jupiter Ascending, or as I like to call it, Jupiter Ass Ending. It's very clever. This is the kind of top tier content you're going to get from me. Also, my second channel, Adam Does Rants. It's so close. It's on the precipice of becoming monetizable, which means I can make those sweet cash money pennies from YouTube. They can start paying me that cash. And I love it. I love every part of it. Please sub to Adam Does Rants. Let's keep that channel growing. I'm putting out rants every week, trying to hit 2. Sometimes it's 1, but they're always angry. They're always ranty, and they're always very silly and stupid. And I would appreciate if you showed some support over there. But I think I've talked enough. Let's bring on Robbie. We're going to have a conversation today about Hollywood, about acting, about how he got into the industry, about where he thinks the industry's going. We're going to have some laughs along the way. Let's bring him in. Here he is. Robbie, hello, sir.
Hey, what's up, Adam? It is super awesome to be here on this show. I'm a humongous fan of the show. So to actually be on the show here right now is I'm super excited about it. Have this little conversation here.
I don't know where you guys came from this last year. It's been wild because I've had a couple actors reach out to me, and I don't know how I tricked you people into thinking I have any sort of value to bring to the table, but I love it. I think it's really cool.
let me just tell you exactly how this happened. So like the depths of COVID in my household, right? We watched a movie. I will not say what the movie is,
Sure.
But we watched a movie like in the depths of COVID, and I remember watching this movie, and I remember thinking like the critical response to this movie was like very much out of touch with like how I felt about it, because I'm an artist, I'm an actor, I'm very much invested in like the craft of how these things get made. And I remember we were just, me and my girlfriend at the time, we were scrolling around through movies, through movie reviews. And I remember we came on upon your review, and you still had the blue background. I think you were still up north. And dude, you were just so cathartically fucking hilarious. And it wasn't just that you were funny. It was like you were just talking about the movie like from a critical point of view, like just about the movie in a time that I felt like everyone was talking about a lot of stuff on the outside of like what, you know, might influence how you perceive the movie. But dude, I have to say it's been one of the places that I've come to for at least 3 or 4 years now, where it's like when I just want to know, what does this guy think about these movies, and it just wants to talk about the scripts, the you know, the direction, the cinematography, the acting. Like I come to you, and it's a very refreshing space. I think as someone who does this for a living, who just wants to talk shop about TV and film, or film in particular here, like I just so appreciate this channel, and it's actually been a really important part of me and my girlfriend's life together, like, because it's important to us. So it's exciting for me to be here, because I really appreciate what you do and the humor that you bring to it, and you make it fun, because talking about this stuff it should be fun. It's movies. Like, we should be able to have like fun conversations about what we liked, what we didn't like, talk about why we didn't like it. So I'm just here as a fan, man. So that's really it for me at the end of the day. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. I wasn't expecting so many compliments. I'm going to record this and share it with my wife so she can.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
She knows you're
I
not just
told
wasting
you.
your time
I
out here.
told you people like me. Okay. Maybe not you, but Robbie likes me.
Hey,
No,
just
I
exactly, dude.
appreciate it. That's always been the approach to the channel, is just shooting the shit with friends. And I don't see people on the other side of the camera often, but I like to think that they're not even necessarily like-minded as far as our tastes. I've definitely been told that our tastes don't align when they don't align, but like-minded in the fact that we all like movies and we all like talking about movies, shooting the shit. And that's how I approach it. When I see a movie, I don't take notes unless it's a roast. I just go off of memory. Like, we just got done watching a movie together and we're talking about it in the parking lot. Like, hey, I didn't really think this movie was great. Here's why. Or I love this movie.
Yeah.
Here's why. And then kind of bringing some of the more technical aspects without getting, snooty and up my own ass, because honestly, that's not where I belong anyways. That's not my forte.
Sure. Dude, but I think that the thing for me that I love about of that, and actually why I love having this conversation with you, is I actually don't think there's enough conversation that happens between like people who do this for a living and people who are critical of what we do. I think there's kind of this separation in terms of like, you're over there critiquing and we're over here like doing our thing, and actually it's like this conversation is kind of the most important one, right? Like, because you kind of curate and explain in a lot of ways like why we're doing what we're doing sometimes. And it's really interesting. You're kind of the voice for us, and people like you who I think really respect the craft and the art and like the what goes into making a film. Like, there's not enough conversation between artists and critics that happens in a constructive way. I know you know this, that there's a lot of critics who like just want to shit all over everything, or like have a perspective that's like, oh, I hate this thing. But when there's someone who you're like, oh, this is someone who has good opinions and is looking at this like, how can we kind of make this better, or like what's not working? Like, I always
this guy's shitting all over this movie I was in, but he's doing it from a place of like purity. He's not being paid to say it. He's not looking to monetize it in that sense. It's coming from a place of passion. And well, I appreciate you seeing that and kind of appreciating it yourself. So you have been in the industry for how long? Why don't you just run us through how you got your start, and if that's okay, sure, if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So like, I studied acting. I studied at a very small school in New York, and then I did a bunch of theater for like, probably, I think I graduated in like 2009, and I spent probably like 3 or 4 years acting in mostly theater, doing like what's called regional theater, which is basically like traveling around the country, going to different cities and doing shows in different cities. And it wasn't until about like 2012 that I was in like Kansas City, which is a great town. I have nothing terrible to say about Kansas City, but I was doing a play in Kansas City, and I had a friend who I went to school with who had done a movie, and this movie was doing getting all this recognition at all these festivals, and all these people were seeing my friend's movie. And I remember being in like this hotel in Kansas City being like, okay, so like a couple thousand people are watching like me do this play here, and my friend is like got this movie that's going all over the country, and thinking to myself like, I really need to make a concerted effort to get in on that, right? So at around 2012, 2013, I made a concerted effort to to go, you know what, I'm going to really focus my time and energy into TV and film, which is something that I've always been passionate about and always wanted to do. And really, long story short, like, my career has very much been about as straightforward as you can really get in this industry. I really started from the bottom. I started doing what's called co-stars, which, for those of you who don't know, there's kind of a tier system in terms of how actors are billed in television and film. A co-star is essentially like the bottom of the totem pole. A co-star is
Okay.
like someone who has like 3-4 lines. It's like the guy who's like, "Hey, do you want me to grab you that cup of coffee?" You know, it's like the small little roles that appear
Sure.
in like a TV show. Yeah, so I did a bunch of those, and then I slowly moved my way up to doing kind of guest star parts, which is like, more substantive, leading roles in an episode, but not in every episode. And then eventually I made my way to doing kind of more recurring roles, supporting roles, in some more higher profile stuff. So I've kind of had a very straightforward traditional climbing of the ladder
Sure.
career, where some people kind of like they jump to the top, they kind of fall to the bottom, and it's maybe more sporadic. I've kind of gone from the bottom, just kind of up, up, and then kind of continuously trying to climb that ladder to get to the next phase.
Right.
So I've done, yeah, yeah, yeah. So
I mean,
I've done a lot,
you
yeah.
you've climbed a ways. You had a decently large role in The Creator. I rewatched it. I'm like, there's not a lot of actors in this movie, and you were one of maybe 20 actors that have a lot of screen time. So that was pretty impressive to see so much
Well,
in there.
thanks, man.
Yeah, and you did a great job, by the way.
I
Again,
appreciate that.
I like The Creator the same way that I liked Prometheus, where I think superficially it's gorgeous. The movie is just top of the line beautiful. The effects are state of the art. I know the budget wasn't that huge considering what they
Yeah,
pulled off. I thought acting was all fine. I didn't think the lead is that Denzel Washington's son.
yeah, John David, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he worked necessarily as good as he could have, but everybody else was great. I love that actress. I can't remember her name. The one in charge of the unit.
Oh,
Uh,
Allison Janney.
Allison Janney, thank you. Yeah. You were
Yeah,
sitting
yeah,
right.
yeah,
You were
yeah,
sitting right next to her on the
yeah,
helicopter. I
yeah, yeah,
assume
yeah,
you were sitting next to her on the
yeah.
set. I
Well,
never
you
know
never know.
anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
That's true.
yeah, narratively, it felt like it was heavily edited. Maybe you know about that. Was there a
Yeah.
lot of stuff taken on the cutting or put on the cutting room floor because it felt very chopped up?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely, dude. I think that what I understood was that there was about like a 5.5 hour cut of the movie
I
that
guess
they
four and
cut.
a half is what
Yeah,
I said to my
yeah,
wife. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, dude. Yeah, exactly. And I don't, obviously I'm not privy to why exactly it got cut down to the length that it got cut down to, but I had like a much larger arc. Like a lot of the characters had a much larger arc that kind of got whittled down to a
yeah,
much smaller movie. And when I saw it, I mean, like, there's, first of all, let me say, like, first and foremost, like, I love I loved working on that movie. And we can talk a little bit about this more down the line when we get to
sure,
the topic that you have of like the quality of movies and like
yeah,
how it's sort of evolved over time. But like working on the movie, it was one of the most exciting things I've ever worked at. Just the care that went into like the visual aspect that you see, the how gorgeous it looked, like
hmm
cinematography, all those things. Like there was such care, and actually there was such care in the script as well. And I think that had the movie maybe been divided up into two parts and you'd
yeah.
gotten to see and breathe with the whole movie, I think that your criticism is fair. And I think that there's also a version of it that might have addressed that criticism
Oh,
also.
I believe it. It felt like there was so much more to be had in pretty much every scene of the film. It almost felt
Yeah,
like a show that would have worked even as a mini series, a 4 or 5 episode.
totally, dude. Yes,
It was such a
yes,
rich world that didn't really get to be explored very much. But yeah, as you said, this is the director that did, I believe, Rogue One as well, and that was another movie that
yes.
just felt very like there was a lot of care and attention put into the details of that film. But
Totally. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no,
Sorry,
you
sorry.
please continue. You were on the movie,
No,
not me.
I no, 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 no. I say like it's what's funny about it is like I was so curious. I had messaged you maybe like a couple months before the movie came out, and I had sort of worried a little bit that I had like been like, hey man, like I'm a fan, and that maybe you had like looked at my stuff and been like, you know what, I feel kind of bad like ripping this movie because I kind like this guy had reached out to me. But I have to say I was so curious about what you really thought about the movie
Hmm
too. Like it really, I think this is part of it that really interests me too, is like we make these things in a vacuum. We make
Yeah.
these things and we don't know how they're going to play. We don't know how the audience is going to respond to it. And frankly, from my perspective, we don't even know I don't even know how the movie's going to be cut. Like I don't know what the
Yeah.
movie is
No.
as we're
Yeah.
making it. And so, I was just excited to hear, and I love hearing what your real honest feedback is, because it's important. Like it matters. Like I'm like we're not. I don't think any of us who are involved in it are interested in like we loved it blindly or we hated it and it
Right.
sucked ass. I want to know, what did you get from it? What was missing? What was
Hmm.
interesting? What worked? What didn't work? And so it's just a great conversation to have, with somebody, like honestly, like. And I appreciate you even you. I could have come onto this and you could have been like not honest about how you felt. I just have to say I appreciate that, and I'm happy to be having this conversation.
Honestly, I think I'm being harsher about it than I was when I reviewed it, because I'm pretty positive I gave it a very
You
very
were very
glowing.
thoughtful, yeah. You were
Yeah,
thoughtful, yeah.
I think also it helped that when it came out, it was a really hard time for movies. It was like
Yeah.
shit after shit coming out. Like it felt like COVID stuff before COVID, I think. But The
Yeah.
Creator was definitely one of those movies that felt like when I was in the theaters, okay, I'm seeing craft on the screen again, and it's been a while. Like this looks like time and dedication was put into every frame. It was thought out very well, methodically. And yeah, it's funny you say that from an actor standpoint, because critics, we all feel the same exact way. I make my reviews in a bottle too. I don't expect an actor to actually watch the video, or a director and be like, "Oh, I really want to know what this Yahoo from South Carolina has to say about a movie that costs 150 million to make and we shot it over a year, and this guy's going to just tear it apart in an afternoon." But yeah, people like you reach out or follow, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess there are people that care, and that's really awesome that there are still working actors and directors and writers that really are trying to do their best work, and it's not just some conveyor belt AI script getting generated and thrown out the door, which that's
No,
happening too.
no. Yes, and I think that I think there's like a meeting of the minds in that sense, is why I think I'm like attracted to what you have to offer as a critic. And there are critics who I just don't care at all what they say in any capacity. But I think that at the end of the day, like we kind of, critics and the artists should kind of be on the same page to a certain
Hmm.
extent. Like we're kind of looking out for the art form. We're kind of like, and I think the biggest mistake that we make as artists, as actors, as directors, as writers, is to be like, I don't care. I don't
Right.
care about what people think, or what normal people think, or what a guy from South Carolina thinks. It's like, no, if we don't make something that connects to everybody, or connects to somebody in South Carolina, or connects to somebody in Dubai, or connects to
Right.
somebody in anywhere in the world, then we're making a huge mistake. So the voice of somebody who just loves this stuff is sometimes, to me, the most important voice. Like I really value what, if they have a critical thought or an idea and a suggestion of what could be better, what they like or didn't like. That is so
Yeah.
important for us to know how to get that too. It goes both, it cuts both ways.
Oh yeah, for sure. And of course, this is an industry that's very incentivized to pick a lane and to just destroy
Yes.
everything, or to give everything a 1 or a 10. And yeah, what it's there's a lot of cynicism there for sure. That's warranted.
Yeah.
But to your point about movies losing touch with people, I watched a film earlier today at lunch. I felt like ruining my lunch by watching a Netflix exclusive, which is always a great
Right.
idea.
Yeah.
This new gem, I really don't often run into a house that's on fire, because it's not going to end well. But I felt like I needed to watch this to get some content out that would be hilarious. So I watched
Cool.
Mother of the Bride. Did you know that exists?
Oh God, no, I didn't. dude. I
Mother
did
of the
not know.
bride. Hmm.
Who's the lead? Who? What's the cast here? Like,
It's
what are
it's
we
the
doing here?
it's the actress from iCarly. I don't remember her name. I'll have to look it up. Um,
She's
the
actually very good though. The girl who was in the Jack Black movie Rock of Ages, right? No,
yeah, I
what's
know what you're
her mo-
talking about.
um
Yeah, I
sh-
think that's her. Is that her?
is
Yeah,
she
that's her.
yeah, what's
She's
her
like
name?
she's like 30 years old. She still looks like she's
School of Rock.
18. Yeah.
Yes.
School of Rock, Jack Rock. She still looks like
Yes.
she's 18. It's amazing. Very, very pretty woman. But it's also got Brooke Shields kind of making a comeback, I guess. I always like
Yeah.
Brooke Shields. She was fine. And then the guy from One Tree Hill just randomly in this, kind of making his comeback.
The main guy?
The main
Like
guy, the blonde, pretty guy.
really?
Yeah, he's
He's
back. He's like
back, huh?
30 something years old. He still looks great. Yeah, anyway, this movie was horrible. And you want to talk about being
Not
out of
good, huh?
touch? I'm so over this. Every single movie having a family that's like multimillionaire rich. They all
Yeah.
live in 13 different houses across the world. The gift that the main couple gets in this movie from the dad is a house, just a second house to stay at
Totally relatable. Yeah,
in the Caribbean. I'm like, yep, this is what I sympathize, I empathize. I know this guy, I know this person. We all have that dad, right, that just hands over keys to a new house. It's so, and it's not just that movie. It's happening in like 90% of movies I see now. These people live in California in these mansions. And I just think, are they doing it because they can go on these lavish trips while they're filming for 6 weeks or whatever? I imagine that's the case oftentimes.
Yeah.
Okay, we can rent out the director's second house and just film there for free, or we can go on a cruise to the Bahamas and film there for a few months. I don't know.
Right. It's almost like, where do we want to go spend some time while we work on this movie? Let's like shoot it in the Bahamas so we can just all go to the Bahamas.
Exactly. Yeah. We know we're making crap, so let's at least have a good time.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, and I think that like a big thing is that has just become such a common practice. Look, I as much as like what I might be saying might be like career suicide in this way, it is frustrating for those of us who love things that are thoughtful and like original, and like it look, a job is a job, and I am not gonna like shit on anybody who takes those jobs or works those jobs or like acts in those jobs. Like, I respect that, and money is money and a job is a job. But at the end of the day, like it is also from our perspective, the people who are in the industry who got into this as actors who care about the craft and care about good storytelling and care about originality and like inspiration. I think at the end of the day, it is hard to see the kind of corporate conglomerate be like, hey, we did Father of the Bride. That was cool. Like, that was like, you know, Steve Martin. That was awesome. Why don't we just whip that one? Just bring that one back out again. You know what I mean? And that's hard. That's not why I got into it. That's not what inspired me to do this for a living. And it's difficult. It's difficult to figure out, like, you know, as a performer in that, like, what does it mean, the state of the industry when it looks like that? Where's my place in it, to a certain extent? Because I'm like you. I think the same thing that you think, but I'm in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't insult your boss when he's paying your bills. That's the challenge. Like I understand. So you're a little, I don't know if it's unconventional, but you're not in California. You're on the East Coast too, correct?
I'm a New York actor. Yep.
You're a New
I'm a
York
New York
actor.
guy.
How did that
Yeah,
work
so
for the creator, for instance? Did you have to get flown in, or did you just stay there for months?
so how the creator worked was, it was serendipitous in the sense that I had done this show, this HBO show called Mayor of Easttown, which was like an HBO limited series.
Okay.
And it was at the time, again, this just kind of goes to the nature of this business. Like, when we shot it, it was like before COVID, and then we had like 6 to 9 months that we were shut down during the pandemic, and then we had to pick it back up and like film the back half of it. And I had no idea how that show was actually going to turn out, because again, I had we had a big break in the pandemic, and were people paying attention? But
Hmm.
that show really hit. It became kind of a big show during that time, for whatever reason, and I'm extremely grateful for it. But because of that show literally got me enough attention. I had enough of a part in that one that it got me enough attention that the casting director for the creator saw it and was like, "Oh, this is Robbie interested in doing this show?" And she's actually based out of London, so
Wow.
all the casting that happened was in London, and then we actually went and shot that in Thailand. So I actually spent 2.5 months shooting that movie in Thailand. So which was also coming off my couch during the middle of a pandemic, having
Yeah.
gone nowhere for like months, to like being in the middle of Thailand all the way across the world filming this movie was a
Oh
crazy
man.
experience.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
imagine, especially with the unrest going on, you don't really know what's going on with the virus, and I'm sure you guys were in masks and everything. Oh my god,
Oh yeah.
that would be intense. That would be
Dude,
really intense.
if you got COVID in Thailand at the time, no matter what happened, you were spending 10 days in the hospital. Like, no questions. So it
Yeah.
was a little bit tenuous shooting that movie in
Did you
that
ever
in
have
that
to
way.
shoot? Did you have to shut down at all during the filming, or did it all stay pretty?
We got super, super lucky. We unfortunately had some crew members who went down, who had to spend some time in the hospital, but fortunately, we did not like have a big shutdown. It was a
Nice.
very tight group, and everyone took it seriously in terms of the
Yeah.
the masks and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah,
you heard you saw stuff on some other movie sets where guys weren't taking it serious. They completely shut down the production. Tom Cruise is yelling at
yeah,
someone at one
yeah,
point.
yeah, yeah. We didn't have any of that, thankfully.
Okay,
Yeah, we
that's
were
good.
very lucky.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a mess. Well, I mean, yeah, an experience like no other you're probably gonna ever get again in history. Pretty wild.
I don't. I hope to God not, Adam.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really hope.
Let's cross
Yeah.
our fingers on that. Okay, so you did the creator. Do you have anything lined up? How does this work now? Because I talked to another actor, Caleb, great guy as well, and he's in California on that side, and he said it's just wildly different over there now. He's been there for over 20 years, and just to see how it's changed and how it's basically just influencers now walking around Hollywood Boulevard, not so much
Sure.
actors. Auditioning is completely different, where it's now all basically online. You don't actually go into a lot of casting agency offices. Have you
Yeah.
been doing any of that, or like, I mean, obviously you got the creator just based on a performance in another show, which is fantastic. But what's the process for you now?
So it's a great question, and I think that after Mayor of Easttown, I did an episode of Black Mirror, and then I did Creator, and then everything was kind of building, 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 and then the strike is sort of this under.
The strike.
How do I
That's
say
right.
this? Like, yeah, it's this under talked about, under acknowledged impact. I don't know how else to say it. It's had a massive impact on the industry in a
Okay.
way that I think people don't necessarily realize. And so I think that for me, what that's looked like is things were going, going, going. The strike hit, and all of the wind in the industry went out of its sails. And what's really
Wow.
happened from my perspective, and this is just my perspective, and some people may feel totally differently, but from my perspective, is like what that did is really make the industry stop and rethink about how things were getting made, why they were getting made, the money that was being put into them. Because before, it was kind of the, I don't want to say the golden age, but like for actors, it was like there was so much being made.
Yeah.
for better and for worse. I'm sure
Yeah.
from your perspective, you're like, there's 1,000 things coming out right now, right?
Just got to
And
sift
that,
through and find the gems.
yeah, dude, exactly. And I think that now what's happening is that allowed, the all the studios to kind of rethink how they were doing things and actually be a little bit more maybe selective. So from
Yeah.
my perspective, it's actually slowed things down significantly. It's really changed how much is actually available. I think I read an article like a couple months ago that like during this time of the year, typically there are about 100 pilots, which during pilot season, which is from January to about May, right?
Hmm.
There's about 100 pilots every single year. This season there are three. Okay, three. That's literally 3% of the amount that there typically are for actors working. So
Now, when you
it's
say pilots, is pilots even something that still exists as far as streamers go, or is this network pilots?
Yeah, so so that's a great question. So pilots what it has become has sort of shifted from what it was like maybe 15, 20 years ago, where there's like
Hmm.
they shoot a bunch of pilots, networks just shop them around and pitch them
Yep.
up. They film them one episode. Now a lot of them, even the pilots, are straight to series. I think there are less pilots, quote unquote, in that traditional sense where they shoot an episode, they decide we want it or we don't want it. Now I
Yeah.
think it's like pilot to me is more like we're going to shoot a season of this. We're going to green light like this many shows and see kind of like what sticks.
You're right.
We're just going to throw the wall, right? And do a season of this. And then if it doesn't work, we're just going to step away from it, which
Right.
gave a lot of actors a lot of work and allowed them to make a significant living every single year.
Yeah.
That has drastically shifted. Like that has drastically changed. And the amount of auditions that I've gotten in the last year or since the strike has cut to about like I would say even like a quarter, maybe half of what it was before the strike. So yeah, it's having a massive
Yeah.
impact on the industry. And it may be for the best. Like we may get better quality out of this, but right now it's more tenuous right now.
What that's so why do you think that is? What did the strike do that would make them slow down on everything? Is because they have to actually pay more out of pocket now to creators and actors? Is that what's doing it, or
From my understanding, and again, I'm not like a economics expert. I
sure,
only know
yeah.
what I've watched and read. Is that the economics of the streaming services to begin with before the strike were already, like you talk about all the shows, the Disney Plus shows, all the
Mhm.
Star Wars shows. It was already a model that was built to fail, right? So this model was going to fail no matter what. So this
Right.
strike actually sort of gave the studios, the major, Warner Brothers, all these big players, an opportunity to step back and be, look, let's use this app as an opportunity to rethink the model, to rethink
Okay.
how we're actually going to do this. If that makes sense.
Did you ever I mean, I think everybody has, but you watch The Office?
Of course, dude. Yeah, I
Okay.
love that
It
show.
it it
Yeah.
seems like every streamer was trying to do the Michael Scott Paper Company form of
Yeah.
making money, whereas they know they're not making money, but they just have to produce enough stuff to outlast their competitor and take all the competitor's stuff. So
Yes.
Netflix is like churning out tons of shows and movies, and they're like, "See, now we're pulling away Disney Plus subscribers and Hulu subscribers." Not realizing that really at the end of the day, people have multiple streams, so they're not really pulling from each other that much. They're just
Yes.
not making enough money with the current amount of people they have.
Dude, I
Uh,
think Michael Scott Paper Company is a perfect example of like what the model is. Like it wasn't
exactly.
it wasn't ever gonna make money. And what my understanding is, again, I'm not an economics person, is that it's all kind of coming back to almost like a basic cable model. Like
Well,
it's
yeah,
all moving
you
towards
know
that.
what? It really is the Michael Scott Paper Company, because now Dunder Mifflin, let's say in this
Yes.
example is Disney, has now acquired. I mean, they always kind of owned Hulu. It's still Disney, but now Hulu's getting
Yes.
bundled in with Disney and Max, formerly the artist known as HBO Max, and
Right.
Discovery, which is bundled in with Max. So then on the other side, you have Netflix is getting bundled with, there's like 2 or 3 other ones on that side, Peacock, something else, who
Yes.
knows. But yeah, it's this new kind of gross, ugly stepchild of the old cable model, where now you're picking between probably 3 or 4 giant streaming service packages, and then they still kind of try to marry a Comcast or someone with it.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yes.
it's so silly because
Totally, dude. Well, no,
yeah, because
what I think that
yeah.
ultimately gets. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to.
No, I was just
No,
gonna say,
it's all.
because of the whole sports thing, right? The cable still kind of has sports on their side. So if people want to
Yeah.
watch live NFL games and whatnot, they pretty much have to have cable. Last I checked, I don't know. I don't watch any of that stuff, but that seems to be the only thing keeping cable afloat for where it's at even today.
Yeah, and I think that like people, what ended up happening, or what I think is kind of happening right now, is like you had the artists who were doing their thing. I think of HBO as like a really great example. It's like HBO is like doing its thing. It's like it's a place for artists. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you used to turn on HBO, you used to be like, I'm going to see something that is at another level, right?
Yeah,
Like if you
yeah.
used to
The
watch.
Carnival and the Sopranos, they had all sorts of cool stuff.
Exactly, and even if it failed kind of bravely, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it was interesting, and then it kind of gets bought up by a conglomerate that sort of forgets that the thing that made it interesting was that it was driven by the artists. It was driven by the people who were making the art, and it starts to become sort of part of a business, as opposed to remembering that actually what drove it at the beginning was the actors and the directors and all those things, right?
Yeah, and it was. I feel like Warner Brothers. I don't know. They're kind of synonymous with HBO Max for some reason. I don't know if they have a deal with them or how that works, but Warner Brothers was a studio that for the longest time was also kind of like Max, where I was confident what they were going to come out with was going to be great. It was going to be a really solid creative movie. And Warner Brothers, ever since I will say the DCU became a thing, the DCEU, it's like every move they made was just awful. The movies got terrible. They were cutting movies completely. Like I know that Looney Tunes movie was basically done, Acme, and they just straight up got rid of it.
Right, right.
I don't know. It all just felt like it was bottom line, how do we make money? And
Yeah.
I think the biggest embarrassment out of any movie property ever is the Fantastic Beasts. And the fact that they just straight up canceled the whole
Yeah,
thing
right.
after
They're like, we're
3 movies. Harry Potter is one of the most popular, most lucrative movie franchises ever. It's got to be top 5 as far as film properties. And then to drop the ball so hard on Fantastic Beasts, and then not even have they have the nerve to not even finish the shit show out for the people that did like it. Just tells you everything you need to know about Warner Brothers. Like at the end of the day, it's about money, and that's it. So we're screwing it after 3 fucking movies. Fantastic Beasts is
yeah.
done.
They're just like, we're dipping. We're done. You know
We're
what?
done. No one cares. It's over.
Yeah, we're out. Yeah, we're done. We're done. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have to say this. I just noticed, I saw in your comments, one of my cousins is in the chat. So I should actually
Oh, nice.
mention, I actually have a cousin who works for Warner Brothers as well. So this will be
Hey, Warner Brothers is great. Never mind. They're making, look at dun 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 dun.
put out the fireworks, dude. Yeah, throw.
What was the dance? How do you do this one again? It's like the bullhorn. Yeah.
I like that.
Dancing for Warner Brothers.
How do you get that? How do you get that background, dude? How do you get that like light show?
So I'm recording straight off my iPhone, and there's a gestures feature that you can enable. I'm streaming from the phone to my MacBook, so I don't know if you got to use that or not. But
It's just cool, man. I just like it.
yeah, I'm just an Apple shill, I guess, over here. Just shilling for Apple. Warner Brothers sucks. Apple's great. No, no. Listen,
Hey, we gotta. Yeah.
Hey, Robbie, since I have you here and since I have your brother in the chat, does he greenlight movies? Because I got a script that I wrote and it's beautiful. So let me know. Because
it's my cousin. It's actually it's my cousin.
Your cousin. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, your cousin.
No,
yeah.
I'll ask him.
Yeah. Let me know. It's moving around right now to a few different people, but the more the merrier.
Dude, making movies is. I mean, I've been in the process of trying to get movies, I should say, made of my own that I write with a couple of friends of mine. It's hard, man. I mean, how
really?
Are you
I thought
that
was the easiest part. You just write this. The script is hard, and then it's just basically it's made, right? Don't you just? I'm joking. It's like
Dude,
winning the lottery. Yeah, it's like winning the lottery. Is from what I've heard.
You just write something, and people will give you money to make it. You know this, dude.
Yeah.
You know
I have a couple of contacts that I've made through other people. So right now it's very much out of my hands, and it's just supposedly moving through the back channels, and business guys are shaking hands and things are happening. And I don't know, but most likely it's just like sitting in a folder somewhere and not being shared at all. But
I like you're imagining like people like talking about the film and really debating it just on somebody's fucking computer and they've never read it.
I imagine there's a board of people. There's like 20 people in a room. Like, no, this is gonna work. This is our next Fantastic Beast. This is it. What's Eddie Redmayne doing? Get him on the horn. Newt Scamander, we got your next picture.
Dude, it's possible. I'm not going to say it's not impossible. It could happen.
Okay, so do you have anything exciting coming up, Robbie? Is there anything we should be on the lookout for? Or are you just cashing checks right now? Just
cashing checks. Yeah, and I'm auditioning, and I'm trying to like you, dude. I'm trying to get a movie made. I actually have a movie I've been working on since December with a couple buddies of mine who we've tried to get another movie made. It almost got there, and now we've been writing one, and it's kind of at the point where we were kind of looking at it before, like how do we get X amount of dollars, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 to make this movie. But at this point, I'm really looking at what is possible with nothing. Like what is possible if I just get like really just a camera, because I have some experience doing cinematography and some of that stuff. If I can get a sound guy, if I can get the cinematography, I can get a great script. Like, can I do something closer to what Kevin Smith did with Clerks, which is can I make something that is like a gem that you go like, this didn't cost anything. These people made this out of passion. And I spent a lot of time trying to make a movie that required a lot to make it. But really now what I'm focused on is how can I make something with just good writing, good, like decent cinematography, good sound, good acting, and that's really my focus at the moment. We're going to try and shoot this thing in like September, October. That's my main focus right now.
Nice. Yeah, I think that, I mean, there's so many options out there from not only streaming services, but YouTube, Patreon. There's ways to self-fund, and there's ways to kind of have your video behind at least a small paywall for people to purchase. If they, you put out a good trailer and you shoot it for cheap, you do a grassroots campaign. I don't know. I've debated doing that as well. I made a lot of amateur films back in college and whatnot, all of course tastefully done. This was pre-only.
I've seen some of the trailers for them. They look pretty awesome.
This was pre-OnlyFans, mind you. We didn't have the capabilities that we have now for funding. But I think, I go back and forth on it as well. But that kind of circles back to a conversation I wanted to get in with you, which is, what are you thinking about movies these days as far as the unwieldy budgets are concerned? Should we be worried that 50% of that budget's just going to some executive who has nothing to do with the movie? Why is it cost $150 million or $200 million to make The Fall Guy? I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
I see a lot of explosions and cool effects, but holy crap, did they really think they were going to make that money back on a rom-com action film? What is
Sure,
going
sure.
on? And do you see? It's such a stupid question to ask, because if we look at what
It's
works,
not though.
tried and tested formula that works, what genre does better than any other genre? Horror. Horror movies are dirt cheap to make. People love
Yeah.
going to them. And that's why we have like a million reboots and remakes and sequels to Halloween and Freddy and all this stuff, because they're easy and cheap. So you would think Hollywood look at this and go, you know what? Maybe if we didn't spend $300 million on an Ant-Man film, we could make back that money and we wouldn't have to worry about reinventing the wheel. I don't know if there's really a question in here, but I guess, do you see them doing this? Is that maybe part of this whole writer's strike thing too? The aftermath is, okay, we can pay these guys more, maybe pay them what they're actually worth, and then we're going to cut back on 50% of the budget and we can still probably make something pretty damn great.
It's such a great question, and I don't, and this is not just like a creator plug, I promise you, but one of the things that I think was underappreciated about that movie and why it was so impressive for 80 million is that, like, what you saw, and I think is really underappreciated, is that was raw talent and skill that made that movie happen at
Oh
that
yeah.
budget. Like,
Yeah.
it was the VFX team. Gareth, the director, had such a vision. He's actually operating the camera in that movie. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but he's the guy who's actually operating that thing.
That's
He
awesome.
came up with all the, I mean, he's in there in the nitty gritty, 110-degree heat in the middle of Thailand with a mask on his face. And like it was just this massive effort of all this talent coming together to make $80 million count. And to me, that
That's what
is the
that
thing.
budget was? 80 million? I knew it was
Exactly,
not,
dude.
I knew it wasn't much, but that is absolutely insane. I just rewatched the
It
movie last
is.
night. It is gorgeous and the effects
It
work is top tier. I actually know one of the animators who worked on it. She said that that was one of her, proudest jobs and one of the last big ones she worked on. So,
Yes,
but
and I think that to me is the big thing that is missing in the industry, is like a lot of these studios are throwing money at projects. They're throwing money at people, and they're not throwing money and they could do more with less if you hire people who are inspired. If you
right.
hire somebody who just, it has a script that they care about. And I
Right.
don't mean to say that callously, but I've been doing this now for long enough that I feel like when I watch a movie, when I
Mhm.
watch any movie in this day and age, or any TV show, or anything in this medium, I go, did anybody care?
Right.
Did anybody care? And 80
Right.
million, if they care, can get you something incredible. 200 million, if they don't give a shit, will never get you anything. It's
Exactly.
about hiring the people who have the passion, who want to, who love what this genre is. Sorry, not this genre. What this medium is,
Mhm.
what film is, have a respect for the craft. And so that's why, people are entitled to how they feel about the creator, and I respect that, because I genuinely do. If you love it, if you fucking hate it, I really respect you if you have an opinion as to why. But one
Right.
of the things I do want to bang the drum for with that is, like, we need more of that. We need
Mhm.
more of films with people who try, and maybe you don't love it, but you see the passion that was put into it. And these movies that get these huge budgets thrown at them, I don't see passion, I don't see care, I don't see heart and soul. And that to me is the big difference. There are a lot of filmmakers, Adam, I promise you, and actors and directors and cinematographers who you could pay them a living wage
Mhm.
and they would give you gold. And it's like,
Oh
how do
yeah.
we get those people connected with the corporates who are just looking at it, throw money at it? 200 million, hopefully we'll make a billion. How do
Right.
you connect those people? I don't know. I don't know that I have an answer.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured was happening anyways, but that sucks to hear. But yeah, it's you have the people at the high ups that at the end of the day it's about making money. And so they think in their world more money equals more profit back. Hey, if we put 200 million on this thing, we got to go bigger, we got to go larger. Let's make this a 3-hour movie with state of the art technology, but then it turns out the whole thing's in front of a green screen and there's no connection at all, as opposed to a
Yeah.
movie like The Creator. It's shot on half the budget, not even a third of the budget, but it feels like it's shot on location. There's real landmarks, there's set pieces, there's CG mixed in, of course, but there is something
It was
grounded
shot on
there.
location. Yeah,
Yeah, and
exactly.
you can tell. You can
Yeah,
tell.
exactly. Because they cared. Gareth,
Yeah.
what I love about him is this guy loves movies. He loves them, dude. He's like,
Right.
honestly, if we were to have the conversation with him, he'd be right with us. He loves movies, and that's the people that I'm attracted to, that
Right.
that I want to work with. Who loves this shit? That's why I like your channel. You obviously love movies. That's all that
Yes.
I care about. End of the day, you
Right.
know.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, Gareth Edwards. You know what he's doing next? Because I always like to see what his next project is.
Dude, one of the last conversations I had with him, he was exhausted. This guy, he was just going through it, make the movie happen. And he was like, one of the conversations, he was like, I think I'm just gonna go work at the DIY store, which is like in England is like, he's British, which is just like a hardware store.
Yeah,
And it's
no, I
just
know what
like,
that is. Do-it-yourself
yeah,
store. Yeah, like
yeah,
you can
yeah,
work at a
exactly.
Home Depot or a
Yes,
Lowe's. Yeah,
yes, yes. But that's what I want. I want
yeah,
somebody who's like gonna put everything into it, to when they're done, they're like, I don't know if I can ever do this again. And then whatever he muscles himself into doing the next time, I want to be a part of it. Because I
hell
know
yeah, yeah.
he's gonna draw up something and give everything to it. You know what I mean?
Do you think there's a possibility of a creator director's cut that maybe has the other half of that movie somewhere and more of your stuff? Have you seen some of the stuff that some of the dailies or anything that you're in?
No, I didn't get a chance to see it, and I thought about it a little bit, and I was fortunate enough to we didn't have get the opportunity to have like a proper premiere, obviously, from because of the strike, but a few of us got together, like in LA when the movie came out, and we kind of saw the movie together, and we got together and kind of had a party. And I actually ran into one of the editors, and they kind of reminded me, like, a lot of the stuff that I had that got cut was dark. Like, it was dark, man.
Oh,
And I
nice.
realized Disney bought the property. They probably
Oh,
wanted it to be a little bit less,
sure.
like, edgy. And so I have to say, I would love to see a director's cut, because I think a director's cut, you would see just how dark and kind of, maybe, and I don't want to go like Zack Snyder, like everyone's banging on, like, we got to see the director's cut.
No, no, no. Please no.
Yeah, but I would love to see a director's cut, because I think there's a fucking amazing movie there
Oh, I think
in
so
that
too.
director's cut. Yeah.
Because you can see it breathing through those scenes and some of those moments in the film, but it's just not quite getting where it needs to.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
kid,
yeah.
by the way, fantastic. I love that
Oh,
kid was so good in the movie.
I felt so bad for her in particular, because in her family, her mother is so sweet. It
Mhm.
was such a sad thing to watch her, because this was her big opportunity, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and during the strike, she couldn't be out there on Good Morning America. And that was
Oh,
actually more
everything was
heartbreaking than
yeah, that
anything.
sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
She's a sweetheart.
yeah,
Yeah.
I imagine so. What a fun opportunity though for her regardless. So many kid actors that don't make it. And anyway,
Yeah.
let's wrap, I suppose, with where. Oh, and by the way, if you guys have questions for Robbie or me, throw them in a super chat. I saw some come in. We'll read them at the end here. I appreciate it. It's what keeps this channel going. But let's wrap with what are you optimistic about the future of movies? Are you scared? What about theaters? I did a video not that long ago about how my excitement level going to the movies has dipped a lot, mainly because people are assholes and kind of ruin the experience, but also the price to go to a movie now is astronomically high. If I were to take my two kids and Lindsay to Deadpool and Wolverine, for instance, it will cost us at least $35 just for the three of them. Since I have
Yeah.
the membership thing, I'm good. But if all four of us were going, that's almost $50. And then you get drinks and stuff. You could easily spend $100 for a family of four. But what do you think's going to happen? I guess it's a two-pronged question with the theaters in the next 10 years and with movies in general. Do you think streaming on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and all these things are going to kind of push Hollywood even more to the sidelines? Or do you think that they can work together in a perfect harmony?
Well, let me just address like the first thing, which is like, you're 100% right. Going to a theater fucking sucks, dude. Like, it is so bad.
Okay, so it's not just me. Good.
No, dude, because I think again, similarly, like when I go to a theater, I do expect the same level of like quiet
decorum.
Yeah, when I'm in my house. And so we just went to go see the new Planet of the Apes movie in the IMAX, and I had to spend like 30 minutes dealing with this fucking guy who was just, his phone's going off. He's got a kid, and I don't know what's going on. The kid, I don't know, and I don't want to be disrespectful because I don't know what's going on with the kid there. But the kid's like old enough. He's got a mustache. It's like he's old enough, I'm assuming, to know the rules, and he's just talking out loud. He's saying what he's thinking as things are happening.
Just a running commentary of the film. How fun. That's refreshing.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And it's the IMAX, and I paid $30 a ticket for us to be here to see it on the screen. And everyone around me is shushing these people, and they will not stop talking. Like they will not stop.
See, well, your experience is at least a little better because you have other people that care. When I go to the movies, I'm the only guy that seems to care about people being on their phones. I was at a movie once. I was at Dune Part 2, which I freaking loved. And thankfully I was back far enough, but I walked up to go to the bathroom halfway through, and I got to the front row. There was this old grandpa on his phone, max brightness illuminating the entire row. This was a pretty full theater. Dude. Yeah, and the guy behind, nobody's saying anything. I would have lost my shit. I'd have been like, dude, I'm about ready to just knock you on your ass.
It's like, you really do have to weigh, like, am I about to go viral for like
I know.
kicking someone's ass?
There's so many times where I'm about ready to buy some Skittles and just start pegging people with them. Just
Dude, I know. I am with you. I am 100% with you. I have to say, I was surprised at how many. Here's what I'll say. I will not be going to the IMAX for a while for a couple of reasons, but it is very selective for me of when I go to see a movie at a theater because of that. Because I want to hear it. I want to zone. I want to just like get in a Zen state and lock into the movie and hear it all. So the state of the theater, it's hard because as people the decorum becomes less of a thing, then I think the films kind of have to almost tailor to that when you go see it in the theater. It's like, if people are not going to pay close attention, then the films kind of have to become less like, oh, I really need to pay close attention to any of this, which could hurt it or could not. But I could see it going the other way, where it's like, maybe the decorum comes back. I'm being probably more optimistic right now than I actually felt.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, maybe I'm trying to be.
Maybe people will get less addicted to their phones and become less douchebags.
Yeah, man. Maybe that'll happen. I don't think so.
No.
So.
And they're not going to drop the prices of movies either, so that's just not going to happen. And movie theaters can't be more strict on the people that come in, or they will lose those people, which it's already hard enough to maintain.
The people who work there are getting paid. God bless them. They're getting paid minimum wage. What are they going to go out of their way to tell some?
I know. And there's like 3 employees for a 16 screen theater. I don't know how they're even doing anything. I don't get it.
It's true. You're like, how is this
operating? Are there robots?
Right now?
Is everything on a timer? What is going on? 8 movies just started at the same time, and there's only 3 people. What are they doing?
Dude, it is not. It doesn't. Don't think about it too hard.
Is it on a? Do they have like a tablet? They're like theater 3, theater 4, theater 6. I
It's
don't
gotta be.
understand.
It's
Yeah, I
it's
don't get it.
gotta be. It's gotta be.
I mean, I'm old
Like
school. I remember going to the movies, and I knew friends that worked there, and they would take me up, and they'd show me the projector and how they have to like actually
yeah.
load it up, and it was a whole thing. That's probably not the case anymore.
I don't think
Is it?
so.
It's
I
all beamed.
definitely
It's beamed in
yeah.
digitally from a satellite, and they're just streaming
Uh, it's
it.
gotta be, dude. It's not. It is not. They've made it so it's not a high
Yeah.
skill thing anymore.
Yeah, it's
No
just download. It's
question.
just downloaded and like auto playing from some hard drive somewhere at Warner
A
Brothers.
hundred percent. A hundred
That's
percent,
probably
dude.
why the
And
quality seems to have gone down a lot in the screens too, because they're doing like a
well, that
live stream.
well to your dude to your point. Like when I went to go see the IMAX, I saw the new Planet of the Apes movie, and like what I realized about 10 minutes in is I was like, oh, this was not filmed for the IMAX. Like this
Yeah,
was like this is because the and I realized this because like the focus is so narrow and so much. You've seen that movie, right? You've seen it. Yeah.
I've seen it. Yeah, Kingdom of the
Yeah.
Planet of the Rise of the Dawn of the War of the Planet
Yes.
of the Apes. These
Yes,
titles are
yes,
getting a
yes.
little out of control.
They're really pushing them. Yeah, they're
They
really
really
like
went
pushing
all in
it.
on eagles in the new one. They were like, you know
They,
what? The guy
somebody
that wrote the
loves
script's
birds
like,
over there.
everybody likes eagles. I say we do an eagles film. Well, we were thinking another Planet of the Apes movie. I kind of wrote this with eagles in mind. Have to make some adjustments.
Dude, we have to put eagles in this. All right, I'm not doing this unless there's
E-
like 7 eagles in.
Either these fucking eagles are the main protagonists, or I walk. Okay, I walk. No, I fly. I fly out of this
I'm
room.
flying out of this mother. All right, I'm out of here if we don't put these eagles in this movie, dude.
I got
No,
something.
but
What's this guy's thing with eagles? His father was an eagle. It's a long story. We're not going to get into
his
it, but
father was.
it's a whole thing. We're not going to get into it right now.
He don't want to talk about it. His dad was an eagle. We're just not going to go there. Yeah, just let it go, man.
Yeah. To your point, though, it also kind of seemed a little more cartoonish to me. The visuals, obviously, they're beautiful, but I went back and looked at the trailers for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Like, holy shit, that took a 20% dip, as far as I could tell, as far as the effects went.
Yeah, it was one of those things where like it was not made for the IMAX, and I was like, Robbie, only go see a movie in the IMAX if they specifically say they shot it with like the IMAX camera. Because when I got
Mm,
there, I was like, the focus was so narrow that like if you didn't look at the who was in focus, it was all extremely blurry to the point where like you would get you like I started to my head started to hurt. And
mm,
so I was like, this wasn't made for this. So it made me kind of rethink how I would go see a movie in the IMAX. And then in terms of like the movie itself, I mean, it's just hard because the first ones with even I only watched the sorry, I should say I watched the Franco one like when it came out, and
yeah.
I didn't think that much of it at the time, but
Okay.
like I rewatched it recently and I loved it, dude.
Yeah, it's
I
good. It's good.
absolutely, yeah, and I watched all 3 of them in
Hmm.
like probably 4 days, and I was totally blown away by these movies. The attention to detail, the physical performances, like
Oh yeah.
all of it, it just it just blew me away. And so
Andy
maybe,
Serkis should just be motion capturing everything all the time. Let's
dude,
just use Andy Serkis for everything.
how do people not talk about him more as like I think it's because it's CGI,
Yeah.
but this guy is an actor, man.
Yeah,
Like
he's
his
awesome.
soul is like he's got the soul of an actor
Yeah.
in the way that I love. And then the new one, it felt like a change of hands. And
Hmm.
it's the first one in the new installment, but it felt like okay, this is a new vision, this is a new direction. There were a lot of mediums shots and close-ups, whereas the other ones kind of had maybe some more dynamic framing in terms of capturing the physicality of the apes. And
Yeah.
so it was interesting to just note the difference. Like, oh, this is a new trilogy. This is a new direction. I got to
Right.
figure out how I'm going to get on board with this one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. It definitely had a different feel to it, and I think not having Caesar there didn't do it any favors, or even
Right.
really or really even using Caesar from the past as kind of a way to kickstart this new one. Instead, they took it in this kind of bizarre direction where he was used as a figurehead, but like for evil, where there's a new Caesar, and he's kind of manipulating some of the stuff that was said in the past. But yeah, it was okay. I enjoyed it. I still liked it. I just
Same.
Not my favorite of the new series. Definitely, I'm not huge on War though, so I was a little let down by War. Just from a story standpoint, it felt kind of like retreading old ground from the last two movies. But Dawn was so damn good that it was really hard for it to go in. It's kind of like going from The Dark Knight to The Dark Knight Rises. I actually enjoy The Dark Knight Rises, but there's definitely a dip, I think, all around in that film compared to the previous.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I totally understand that. It's like the thing about the last one in the other trilogy is like it's like it's almost like a Passion of the Christ movie. Like you've got like you're just there to watch this character suffer through.
Just get his ass kicked.
yeah.
Oh, good. They're gonna torture him some more. Yeah, I love this.
Yeah, right. Which is like if you're in the space for that, you're probably gonna love it, and if you're not, it's probably gonna just seem like, wow, they're really just kicking the shit out of this guy for like 2 hours.
So to circle back around and recap, Robbie foolishly thinks the theaters are going to be fine for the next 10 years. People are going to get better. They're going to be less rude, and everything's going to be great. That's awesome. I love that. Wonderful.
Cool.
I always like the super useful comment I'll get pretty much every time I talk about movie theaters. They're like, dude, Alamo has it figured out. Alamo is a great movie theater. They take away the phones, blah, blah, blah. I don't have an Alamo by me. So what am I supposed to do? Well, how does that help me? There's not that many of those theater chains.
Dude, you just need to drive 7 hours, man. What are you doing?
Where is it? Texas? Where the fuck am I supposed to go? Alamo Draft House or I don't even know what it's called. Something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds like those are super pleasant, but most people don't have access, unfortunately. We're dealing with all the riffraff and yahoos that go to movies, and I think MoviePass really hurt it too. Not the actual MoviePass, which was fucking hilarious that they ever made that. I loved it. I saved like thousands of dollars going to the movies, but the Regal Pass or like the Stubbs card or whatever AMC has, where basically you pay $25 a month and you get carte blanche access to go to any movie ever.
Right.
I mean, great on paper, great for me, but yeah, you're just inviting a bunch of douchebags to go in and
right.
It was so funny. I was at a movie, and it's not even like a bad thing, but it was just really funny. I've never seen this happen. I was at Poor Things when that hit theaters.
Oh yeah, sure.
Loved it. Loved Poor Things. Thought it was great. I'm the only one in the theater. It was kind of an afternoon matinee on a random day. Only one in the theater. This movie is 75% over, and some guy walks in with a giant popcorn and a giant soda. He sits down, and I'm like, what the fuck? And after a couple minutes, I wait a couple minutes, and now I'm like kind of like half into his story because I'm thinking, does he think he's just showing up?
You're invested because this is weird.
This isn't normal. And so I feel like I have to say something, and we're the only guys. So I'm like, hey, sir. And he turns over, I'm like, this movie's winding down. This is like the end. I just don't want you to have it ruined. He's like, oh, no.
You went out of your way to tell him? You were like,
I told him because I didn't want him to have it ruined. And he's like, oh, no. Yeah. I caught the first 2/3 yesterday, but it was a really long movie. So I came back to finish.
He came back.
I'm like, what?
No, dude.
Okay, all right. I mean, sure, it is a longer movie, but that's I've never seen that before. But now because of these passes, you can kind of just come and go whenever you want.
Just rethink how you do these. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I throw pizza in at home. It takes about 25 minutes. I'll catch the first act of whatever the new Furiosa movie. I'll leave. I'll go eat. Yeah. It's wild.
That's actually amazing. That's actually, and he got the popcorn even too. That's what I think I'm impressed by. He like re-upped on like the snacks and things.
He did. He went all in. He got popcorn the other day and soda, and he came back and did it all over. He's single-handedly helping keep this movie theater afloat by that purchase, because that was probably
good for him, man.
Yeah, I mean a pop alone for a small at Regal right now is $7.50. That's for a small. That guy had a large.
Okay.
He's
Jeez.
pushing probably $11 for the soda. Another, I would say another probably $7 for the popcorn. Yeah, 15, $20 right there. So $40 in 2 days.
I do kind of want to get in the head of that guy. Like, what does he think?
He spent $40 on Poor Things, assuming he has the Regal pass and he didn't just pay for 2 other movie tickets as well. That would be really fucking funny. That would be hilarious.
Right. Oh,
What do you think of
God,
Poor
dude,
Things?
that's hilarious.
Well, the first half has me hooked. I'm gonna go back tomorrow and finish her off.
I love it, dude. It's
Yeah.
fucking riveting. I'm gonna see the second half tomorrow. What?
Hey, don't spoil it. I'm only halfway done. Wait, what do you mean? You saw it in the theaters, right? Yeah, but I had a quiche in the oven, and so I had to get back to. Wait, you're eating quiche at dinner? And there's no law on when I can eat quiche. Don't tell me how to eat food in my house, man.
Dude, I eat quiche at 5:30 p.m. All right, that's when I eat it.
I'm a quiche guy. All right. You do movies, I do quiche. You subscribe to my quiche channel. Robbie does quiche.
Robbie does quiche.
You have to niche, Robbie. If you didn't know, on YouTube and other on social media, the big thing they say is you have to niche down. You have to niche down. So a quiche only channel, I think, would do pretty well.
Dude, I think I might get off and just go register like a website right now.
Quiche with Robbie.
Quiche with Robbie. I got to learn about quiche, though. I just got to. Yeah. I'll figure it out, dude. Yeah, that comes later.
I mean, I really know nothing about it. I'm not even sure if it's a food. It's just a word I've heard a couple times. I think it's an omelet-esque kind of thing with egg and some other stuff.
It's actually delicious. It's actually delicious. Yeah,
it's quite breathtaking. I hope you try it sometime. All right, so let's put a real cherry on top of this Sunday. Where do you see streaming going and movies in general? You think Hollywood's dead? You think it's going to make a return to form, and we're going to get like more lower movies? Maybe your movie gets made and they say, okay, we got a Kevin Smith situation. What are you looking at? What are the tea leaves telling you?
I here's the thing. It's like, I'm also like a big video gamer, and like I think what I think about streaming is kind of how I think about like VR in video games. Like,
sure.
I think that there actually is a threshold where people get tired of it or they don't want that. So like VR, people like, I want to play video games, but like strapping a thing on my face and like having to like look around and like walk around, like that's a bit too far.
Yeah.
I feel like there does exist that threshold in streaming. Like, and I do feel that we are approaching that threshold where people are going to go like, I'm just kind of getting tired of this. I'm kind of getting tired of like all of this stuff coming out, and it's just content for content's sake. And for every time that we go too far in one direction, we do usually reset the course to a certain extent. And whether that's like a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, I can't predict that. But I do feel like a creative renaissance is always around the corner in these situations. And whatever that's going to be, I don't know. But I do trust in that there's going to be a creative renaissance that will break the mold of what this streaming model is, and maybe give us something new in the future.
I'm with you. I think that there's going to be a burst in the bubble of pretty much all of this crap, and there will be new ways to kind of inspire again. I'm a big gamer too, although I find myself kind of sadly just playing Fortnite these days because I don't have time to really invest.
Fortnite? Stop it, dude.
Yeah, I'm in touch. I'm cool. Are
you zero build player?
What's that?
You play zero build or you play builds?
I'm zero build. I don't.
Dude, I play zero build. Come on.
Oh my God, Robbie.
We have
Robbie.
a squad now.
Come on now, Robbie. We're doing this. We're squadding up.
Dude, we're
going duos. No build. Okay,
dude. My girlfriend and I play zero build, so we're gonna have to play some zero build, bro.
I think so. Maybe we'll do a live Fortnite stream talking movies, and
that'd be great, man.
I started getting into the rip-off Rock Band version of Fortnite. Have you dabbled into that at all?
Yeah, dude. You're talking about the
the Billie Eilish kind of side thing you can do. Yeah, I got the battle pass. I'm all in. I'm ready for the new season. It's happening. I'm excited.
All right.
I'm excited. So yeah, but like you, I was playing God of War and Spider-Man, all those games, and then it got to a point where another one would come out, another one, and I play it and I go, yeah, I mean, I just beat this game. I just platinumed it,
Yeah.
and now I'm doing it again. I got to do like 55 side missions. It feels like I have a job right now. Well, why am I doing this? I'm getting stressed out because I gotta like wrangle up some pigeons to have them fly over. Because this is my life. This is what I'm doing with my life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So,
I agree. I feel like it's all coming out of the post-pandemic. Like, I think that's what it is in a lot of ways. Like, the pandemic really like shaped content in a way, and like we haven't kind of moved past. Everyone's in their homes every minute of the day, and we've got to figure out now, like, what does life look like now? People are going out and doing things. They're getting out of the house. They're actually living their lives. So how does that reshape content? And it's not just about, quantity. It's we got to get back to quality, I think, in a big way.
I hear you. Okay, let's end with some super chats quick. If you guys have any, now's the time to throw them out. Just have a few. Robbie, can you stick around still, or do you need to?
Yeah, absolutely, man. No,
you got Fortnite to play, or you good for a little while?
I'll probably hop on in a bit. Yeah, but I got time.
I'll get your handle off stream. Okay, we'll exchange
we'll
handles.
do it. Yeah.
Okay, we got just a few super chats to go through. CP's for $1.99. Thank you, CP. You guys ever had In-N-Out Burger? Robbie?
I have not. No. I know.
I have actually, because I did a 2-year stint with the missus in Arizona. We lived in AZ for 2 years. They had an In-N-Out Burger. I guess my only regret isn't appreciating and going more, because I only had it probably 3 or 4 times. And it was good. It was good. I think the hype was so built up at that point that I just didn't appreciate it for what it was. Because I would like it again now. CP's back, shot out of a cannon for $4.99. He says, big fan, Adam. And also, this guy is speaking facts. No email, no text, just facts. See what he did there? He kind of played on words. We do that on this channel. We play on words.
I like it.
Yeah. David Shellacker for $20 Canada, I think is what CA means, unless California has its own currency now, which I don't believe is the case. What do producers do other than slap their name on a project? I think maybe you can speak to this more.
Sure. I think that like producers probably don't get enough credit a lot of time, because like producers are actually curating the entire vision of what happens. So like producers are not necessarily the person directing the film or the TV show, but they are the ones looking out for the creative vision of the whole thing. They're making sure that like when money gets spent, it gets spent in the right way, that the director's vision is being properly looked after, that the people in certain departments are doing their job in a way that is consistent with what the director's looking for. Like, I think like curator and tastemaker is a great way to describe a good producer. And also a good producer enables creatives. A good producer goes out of their way to be like, this director's brilliant for this reason, and maybe no one else sees it, but they fight on behalf of that director in order to make sure that their vision comes to life. So they're out there pitching to, people, who have money, other producers, and like, hey, I know this director's brilliant. Here's their vision. You need to invest in this director for X, Y, and Z. So that to me is a producer is not a bad producer is probably someone who's just like, let me slap my name on it. A good producer makes or breaks the entire production.
Well, they're also the ones that initially get the scripts too, correct? They're the ones that kind of get the movie off the ground and going. I can see the jaded side where you might have 4 executive producers attached to a project, where maybe there's a little bit more of that, just, hey, we'll give you an executive producer name on this thing, a credit for doing X, or I don't know, maybe that's not the case, but it seems like when you have a whole bunch of producers. Oh, okay.
It is. And even actors, like sometimes you'll see actors who are like executive producers. Sometimes that will be a point of negotiation for an actor. Okay. Like an actor might be like, I'll do this project if you give me an executive producer credit. So, but then there are really actors, like, for example, the show that I worked on, Mare of Easttown, where Kate Winslet was an executive producer. She was in there. She was part of the process.
She was making things happen.
Exactly. She was a huge part of curating the success of that project in a way that many people don't appreciate. So it's a role that can either be the hero or can be, I guess, for lack of a better terms, the villain, depending on who's doing the job.
She seems very cool too, Kate Winslet, from just interviews I've heard.
Actually genuinely awesome. And I really am not bullshitting you on that one.
No, I believe it. She comes off as a very chick. Cool chick.
Super nice. Yeah.
That's good to hear. All right, Robbie 214, $4.99, a powerful $4.99. Thank you, Robbie. I got Invisalign today, Adam. Ugh, I hate it. Losing my mind. Keep up the good work, folks. My Invisalign has been sitting over here for 4 hours now. It should be in your teeth for 22 hours of the day, they say, or 23. These stupid things. I don't put them in when I do my live stream because mentally I hate it, and I think I sound weird with them in. But here, I'll put them in. You can tell me if there's a difference.
I'm considering them. So how do you like them?
I don't like them at all. Ow.
No?
Okay. Can you notice them even? Do I sound different with them in?
I don't think different? I would notice at all if you didn't tell me.
Okay. They're fine.
You sound like a different person, dude. I don't even know who I'm talking to.
I should have been like, do I sound different with them in, Robbie? am I different with them in, Robbie? They take a while to get adjusted. End of the day, it's a first world problem. It's an elective thing that you're putting on to align your teeth. I will say, because I was watching myself on camera for many years and just hating how I looked with my bottom teeth being all janky and rock based, they're straight now. They look good. They're straight. You can see. If you go back to old videos of me, even just 2 years ago, they're kind of rocky roads down there. So definitely from a mental standpoint, they're worth it. But it's a pain in the ass. You have to wear them all day, and you have to do it for probably a year, depending on how bad your teeth are. Yeah, so something to think about. But don't do the thing that other Hollywood people are doing where they're like filing their teeth down and putting dentures over the top. That's horrible. Horrible. But Robbie, I feel your pain. Robbie 214. Stay strong, sir. We'll get through this together. The Invisalign.
Fellow Robbie. What's up,
fellow Robbie? He brings that up because I did an Invisalign rant on my other channel. Adam does rants. Yeah. Okay, Daniel Fa for $2. Thank you, Daniel. Robbie, what movie influenced your acting career? Ooh, that's a good question. Have one?
That is a really good question. But if I go down to like the beginning, I will say like probably the early Ace Ventura, Pet Detective,
yes,
Jim Carrey, like that movie was one of the first. I would just impersonate it all the time. It was hands down one of my favorite movies. Jim Carrey was a huge part of my, I didn't necessarily know that I wanted to be an actor when I was growing up, but I think like I was attracted to that that form of expression and just being ridiculous and over the top and having fun and
just a legend.
Yeah. He gave
I'm looking for Ray Finkel and a clean pair of shorts. It's just
Finkel and Einhorn. Finkel and Einhorn. Yeah, no.
Gun is digging into my hip. The whole movie is perfect.
Oh, it's great, dude. It's so good. Yeah. So I'd say, yeah, and even like Austin Powers, like those over the top, like stupid comedies.
Zoolander, really Austin Powers,
Zoolander.
I watched. Connor and I had some time to kill, and we only had like 35 minutes. But I put on Naked Gun, which he's never seen.
Oh my god, dude!
The Naked Gun is so freaking good.
I take it back. Those might have been more important to me than even the. I watched those religiously.
Leslie Nielsen is just peak. Sadly, deadpan and that kind of humor is all but dead now. I think if you show that to younger people, not necessarily people in my house because they get that humor, but they'd be like, "Is this supposed to be serious? I don't get it."
Yeah. He was a master of being able to pull off that parody and those were super important to me as well. Yeah.
Even the bad ones that he did. we're somehow still carried by the fact that he was always all in on it. The Spy Hards or the Wrongfully
Dude,
Accused. He's just
we just
perfect.
watched Dracula Dead and Loving
Yeah.
it, and it's not good, but it's
so
good.
dumb.
It's
so dumb.
Yeah.
I just talked about this with another buddy on the stream like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You.
It's Mel Brooks. It's like
you.
bad Mel Brooks, but it's amazing. Yeah.
You. Go over there. Not you. You. She will become one herself. What?
My God. What are you doing to teacher? Dude, there's so many. My buddy and I in the 4th grade were laughing at that one so hard, man.
I love it. Perm for $10. Thank you, Perm. Powerful chat. Sup, Adam and Robbie. Robbie, so cool that you were on the channel, and thanks for sharing your point of view on the industry. Adam actually stole my question about the theaters as I was typing this. All good. He actually laughed out loud. He said LOL, which means he was laughing loudly while he typed that, which I appreciate.
That actually happened. Yeah.
It happened. Take him at face value. CP, for the last chat of the night, $1.99. You guys play Apex.
I don't do Apex. No, I've heard about it. I've never actually played Apex.
Too hardcore. I think it's the same guys that did Titanfall, which I did play. Titanfall was all right.
Oh, okay,
you have the exosuits. You're kind of running on walls and stuff. I fell out of the kind of Call of Duty style of gameplay back in I don't even know, like what was it? Not Infinity War. That's a Marvel movie. What were those war games called? They would go back and forth between Call of Duty and Infinite Warfare.
Cold War.
I think it was Infinite Warfare.
Yeah.
Infinite Warfare 2 is about where I was out. I thought, I go into a map and it was so spazzy fast that I'd be dead within like half a second, and then I'd have like someone nuke me. And I go, this is miserable. I hate this so much.
Dude, I actually watched this other channel called Call of Shame, which is like basically this guy who's like rooting out all of the cheaters in Call of Duty.
Oh God.
And I think that's to your point, is it started to get to this point where it's like everyone, it just felt like I was just getting killed all the time.
Yeah,
everyone is cheating all the
There's no equal play. My favorite game still to this day is Halo 3. I was a huge Halo guy. Oh my God. I probably lost, if I tallied up the hours, I bet I lost a full year of my life to playing Halo. That's how many hours I played those games.
Dude, I often say that I could have a doctorate in the amount of time that I played Halo, dude.
And I don't regret a single second of it. I don't regret any of it.
Not a second, man. Not one moment.
No. No, I didn't watch the series. I heard mixed things, but mostly that it was hot trash.
It's for another time.
Alrighty. Well, Robbie, this was awesome. Guys, follow Robbie on his Instagram. You got anything to pitch or promote? I know you're not like a YouTube guy and you don't need to do any of that, but anything that people should be looking out for?
No, I mean, if anything comes up, follow me on Instagram. But again, I appreciate you letting me be on. Oh, like I said, I'm a huge fan, so it's just been really fun to get to chat with you and talk shop a little bit.
Well, don't be a fan. We're friends now, and we're gonna be we're gonna be Fortnite friends. So when I hang up the phone right now on this stream, we're gonna get our crew together.
There you go, dude.
Alrighty, man. This was awesome. We got one more. I think slipped in here, kind of secretly. $5 from David Schlacker. Halo is awesome. I love that franchise. Play it all the time. I'm a Sony pony over here now, so I don't have an Xbox. I'm a PS5 guy. I miss Halo though more than anything else. If I could have that time back in my life, I would go back there. If I had a time machine and I could like kill Hitler or do any of this stuff, I would go back and just play Halo and not worry about any of that other stuff. It is what it is. Okay, I am who I am.
Nothing I can do, man.
Nothing. It's out of my hands. You can do both. I really want to play Halo. You could have stopped so many tragedies. I know, but
dude, but you just gotta play, man. Halo.
I'll do it later, but I want to play. God, I remember in Halo 2 when people would use that. Do you remember we called it the Ultra Mix? It's when Halo 2 was ruined, where you could use a plasma charge shot. You hit them and break their shield, and then you quickly flip to the assault rifle or the BR, and it's a one shot. ruined the game. Ruined the whole
It ruined the
game.
game. 100%. I'm with you, dude. 100%.
Never forget.
It's a noob combo. That's
the noob combo. Thank you.
Yep.
We called it the Ultra Mix. I think later it did get branded the noob combo. Yeah. Never forget. Horrible game. All right. On that note, on that movie related note, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next Tuesday, unless I for some reason do something else. Follow Robbie on Instagram, and we will look forward to that director's cut of The Creator. That's all but confirmed at this point.
Right. Yeah. Quote me on it.
Yeah. All right. Take care.